What episode is this? Is this episode 23? I think this is episode 23 of the Lightharbor map right here for nobledwarf.com. We're going to be continuing this today. I'm actually going to be spilling out on the west side, probably hitting the southwest corner. We're going to be getting a little bit nuts right down there. But as I'm doing it, I have company today. I have company in Lloyd Metcalf and Stephen Radney-MacFarland in the house.
In the house.
Gentlemen.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm experimenting with the format, okay? I'm looking forward to basically having people join me, hanging out with me, as well as you internet peeps out there. And we're just going to hang, we're going to chill, I'm going to draw squiggly lines. These fine fellows right here are going to provide all of the intelligence in today's stream, which will be about an hour and a half, something like that. So, with that said, Lloyd, you first. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you've got going on right now, and just give people a sense if they've not heard of you before, maybe not seen much of your work, or they've seen it and they didn't realize.
I am CEO of Fail Squad Games because I took what I do professionally, which is screw things up and turn it into a business model. Um, and really like that there's like a whole philosophy behind that where like it doesn't have to be perfect. I just need to learn from my mistakes sort of thing, you know. I'm on staff. I'm the art director for GaryCon, and I'm on staff for North Texas RPG Con. I run my own AppleCon, and I've worked for most people in the OSR, everybody except for Wizards of the Coast, I think. Paizo. I am the con artist. Herman reminded me in the chat that I am the con artist.
You know, and I
So,
didn't know that about you, Lloyd. I got to be honest with you, and I will be truthful. It was actually seeing your name all over the GaryCon Bazaar. It was like every single one. It was like Lloyd Metcalf, Lloyd Mike. I was like, wait, is Lloyd actually working with the GaryCon folks? I genuinely didn't know it, and apparently, yeah, big time. How did you get involved with that?
you know what? It's a funny story. I got myself one of those Wacom in 204s like a long time ago. I thought digital art was like this wacky, foolish thing, but my daughter talked me into it. And I just started posting art online, and I had become friends with Luke Gygax digitally, virtually on Facebook or something. And he just sent me a message one day. He's like, "Hey, I just wrote my first adventure. Could you illustrate it?" And I was like, "Does a bear shit in the woods?" Oh, wait, can I cuss on your show? I'm sorry.
Yes, you can. You can. I
Oh,
do
okay,
all of the
cool. And I
time.
was like,
Yeah.
a bear shit in the woods, it's like Luke Gygax. Like, so so I started illustrated the first module. The art, like looking back at it now, is so embarrassing. It's just awful. But yeah, you know, and it just, I mean, I had this thing when I was a kid where I always like carried my Jeff Easley first edition D&D books with me, and I just wanted to do this art stuff, and I wanted to work with this Gygax guy, but I missed Gary, unfortunately. But when Luke sent me that message, it was like, yeah.
So have you been involved with GaryCon since like the beginning then?
Since GaryCon 5 was when I started doing stuff. And then we just had some folks shift in and out, and I was like, yeah, you know, I was doing the graphic design and laying out. There's so much artwork that nobody really thinks about when it comes to a con. You know, you got to do lanyards and badges and signs and just these wacky little things that you never think of, but they require graphic design stuff. And
Hmm.
I have a 2-year degree in communications and media, so
Cool, cool. And Stephen, tell us about yourself because you are all over the place.
Yeah, oh yeah. So I long time. I played my first D&D game when I was like 11. I went to. I just moved to California. Went to a coworker's son birthday party, and they were playing this thing, and I was hooked. We were playing against the Giants. I had no idea what I was doing. No idea what these funky dice were. I already liked games, but this was the best game I ever played. And since then, I've just been a gaming nerd. Um, and uh, uh, and then in in 2000, with the launch of 3.5, I got hired by Wizards of the Coast as the editorial assistant for the RPGA. And when I lived in Colorado, I was heavily into the RPGA out there and whatnot. When I moved out to Washington, I did like the newsletter for our chapter and stuff like that, both writing and graphic design and stuff. And since then, I've been working in the RPG industry full time. I worked for Wizards of the Coast for about 9 years. I quit at one period of time, and then got hired back at R&D when they were designing 4th edition D&D. Boo if you want to, but I'm very proud of my work.
No, don't, no. I honestly, I think 4th edition. Well, I mean, and we're not going to do edition wars. My outlook on this channel has always been: if you're playing something, and I don't care what it is, and I think 4th edition actually really tried just to break the mold. It really just tried to break the mold, which I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, that was definitely the idea behind it. It's a lot of us were playing a lot of different games. We wanted to sort of update it. I always joke that I think 4th edition in retrospect will be looked upon more kindly than it was right now. And then before that, I was on the 3.5 development team. So like I got to go through that and see that thing. I worked on Star Wars Saga Edition while I was there. And then, but just like anybody in the game industry, I eventually got laid off, which I was actually very happy about. My job satisfaction working at Wizards of the Coast was pretty low. For various reasons. So I was actually very happy when they gave me a nice severance package and I could go do my own thing. Pretty soon Paizo came calling. They were working on this thing called the Advanced Player's Guide, and they needed somebody to write some for it. So I wrote a bunch. And they're like, that's great. Can you write more? And I did. And then the next book came out. They're like, can you write more? And I did. And then eventually they called me up and said, Steven, you want to come into the office every day and actually be part of the staff? And I said, okay. And I was a game designer and then senior game designer at Paizo for 9 years. And then because I guess 9 years is what I do, after 9 years, I was all like...
It's like, oh, sorry guys, I'm enjoying this, but 9 years. Yeah. I gotta go.
Once you hit name level, that's it.
Right. I was like, this office thing is kind of cramping my style. I think I'm just going to go be a freelancer. And so last August, I started doing freelance work, which I work with a variety of companies. I still do a lot for Paizo. I still write a lot for those guys. I still design the map packs and flip mats, even though Jason Engel makes them look gorgeous. So now I do a lot of writing. I do cartography stuff. And work from home, where my office has all of my game stuff, better computer system, cats, and a couch. And I like that a lot better.
Getting cats and a couch makes a huge difference. I've got one right here. Not a couch, I've got a cat.
Got a cat, yeah.
I gotta ask you a question. You mentioned earlier on that you did research and development.
Yeah.
What is that to the layman? I don't know. What is that?
So at Wizards of the Coast, and I think maybe even before with TSR, that's basically that's where they put the game designers. They're like, well, they do research and they do development, and so basically R&D at Wizards of the Coast, and it's called the editorial staff at Paizo, is basically where they put all the people who actually make the words for the game. And then they throw it over the wall to the graphic designers and everything else. And so when I was working at Wizards, there was Magic R&D, and then there was D&D R&D, and then some board games R&D. But usually those were special project groups. So it's just what they ended up calling it at Wizards of the Coast.
Are you literally developing like new rule systems and stuff? Would that fall under that category? New ways of dice working and stuff, mechanics?
Yeah. There was a lot of that. So when I was in R&D at Wizards, of course, we were working on the last leg of the 3.5 edition. We were working on fourth edition. There was a lot of meetings like, well, what if we did this? What if we did that? We revamped the miniatures game for D&D. There were people that were working on the Star Wars miniatures game, and of course Star Wars Saga, which for a while there, I was helping out Rodney Thompson with that because we sat right next to each other and we get along really well. And then I would ask him because my Star Wars knowledge is mostly of the movies and some of the novels, and so I'm like, how many times has the Emperor been cloned? Like, is there really a TIE tank? Like, I come across this stuff and I'm like, what the hell is this, Rodney? And he's, oh, that was in this comic. I'm like, don't you think that's kind of dumb? And he goes, yeah. So, and so, yeah, because of that, it is exactly that. It's research and development. Just like anytime, you're working on a role-playing supplement or something, you just don't start writing. You're like, oh, I'm making the new version of this monster. Like, let's take a look at the monster before, see how it worked, make sure that it ports over in a satisfying way. Or I need to make 5 new monsters. Well, we're going to look at mythology. We're just going to get high and come up with something crazy. Like, either way. And so yeah, that's the research part. The development part is just like is iteration. Right? Anything, it's like, okay, I've got this thing. How baked is it? Oh, it's about half baked. Well, when can we get that nice crispy crust on the outside? And pound it into submission. And in a lot of ways, that's where groups work a little better. If you're feeling frustrated, somebody might have a new take on it and get a better idea. And then you can sort of bang in the shape, and then you play test it and see if it works, and if it doesn't, you go back to the drawing board a little bit. So just like anything that involves the kind of art of design, it's a lot of trial and error, seeing if it works, and pushing it forward. And sometimes it's all like, well, it's as good as it gets and it needs to be published, so here you go. One of the things that I'm doing now, which I find very satisfying, and I can move at my own rate and make my own thing, is I'm working on my sort of my take on the D20 system, which I call Delve, and so right now I'm hammering the bits of the book and putting them together and doing layout and getting art from an artist I really like. I started talking with the guy at Otherworld Miniatures about maybe doing some miniatures for it down the line.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So
I do want to give a shout out to Dyson, by the way, who's in the chat with us.
He's here.
Oh, yay!
And it's wonderful, always, Dyson, to have you around. Everyone absolutely loves you. And Dyson said, when I was working with Wizards, we were at arm's length reach from the R&D team for most gigs. Sometimes we had direct contacts in the person in charge, sometimes not.
Dyson came up in conversation recently. We were saying he's like the Banksy of the D&D world.
No, why? Because he's running around tagging things with his maps.
Nobody knows really who he is, but his work keeps popping up in places that and it's never bad. It's always like really awesome. You know what I mean? It's like
he's like the most popular, never seen man. Yeah,
that's right.
That is probably true. Yeah.
Of the D&D world.
Yeah, he's even got a Twitch stream, and you still don't see him. Oh no, too mysterious.
I stand by that assessment.
So I gotta ask you, Lloyd, like in your business, obviously you're an artist, you're an exceptional artist. In the years that you've gone through, is there anything that counts as like research and development for you?
Well, everything. I mean, because I sort of run a one-man band. Like I wear all the hats. So I conceive of a project, I write the project, I do the layout. I never edit my own stuff anymore. I learned that lesson early on. You should never edit your own stuff. Yeah, because I wear so many hats. Now I've got my daughter who's like helping with a lot of the art, and it takes a lot of pressure off of me and helps me keep from burning out, which I did for a little while. Um, but it's just wearing all the hats, you know. So I think I can. I think I have a feel for everything from concept to hell, even packing and shipping. I pack and ship my stuff here to my Kickstarter backers. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm professional or not, but I've done like almost 20 Kickstarters now, and they've all shipped on time or early.
I didn't know you'd done 20 Kickstarters.
It's either 18 or 20. I can't remember because there's a couple in there that I never launched, but they show up on my account. I can't remember what the count is right now.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you're way more prevalent in the Kickstarter world than I thought. I mean, so
Yeah,
okay, there you are in Gary Con. I'm suddenly like, oh, actually, the Lloyd's actually pretty big in Gary Con. I didn't realize, and now I find out that you've done 20 Kickstarters too. All right. So apparently, I don't know you at all.
Well, I'm always like looking for you wherever I go, but we never get a chance to really hang out as much as I want to. So I'm honored to be on your show because I have I have 1/3 of your entire attention now. No, but it really.
There's also the chat.
Yeah, but
So
yeah,
listen.
but GaryCon is a big part of my life. I mean, obviously Luke is a huge part of launching my career, asking me to do those first few things, and helping me get to GaryCon 5. He found me a roommate so that it was affordable, and just keeps finding ways to help. And he helped support like AppleCon 1 that happened last year and stuff. But yeah, 17. I can't remember if it's 18 or 20 Kickstarters, but it's something like that. And I keep thinking of going to Patreon or something else, but it's just where my audience is. And
No, if it's working, you stick with it. It seems like it's working really, really well. How did your Gary Con this year go?
oh boy, yeah. So we right up until we announced it, we were working on the mental attitude that we are going to have GaryCon, and Wizards of the Coast released a statement saying that anybody that works for us cannot travel. And so we started getting cancellations. So that meant Matt Mercer can't get Mike Merles, and a lot of other people can't come to GaryCon. So we were like, okay, well, let's quietly just shift this until we figure out how it's going to work. We kept working with it. We kept getting cancellations. And then there's a lot of people that support GaryCon that we don't want to put at risk. Nobody wants Jim Ward to get sick or Tim Kask or any of those guys. I mean, we love them. They're part of the family, and it's just not worth risking their lives either, you know. So we started calling them and like, look, I know you want to come, but don't come. We're going to figure something out. And the hotel let us out of the contract, which which ensured us that we could have a GaryCon 13. If they hadn't let us out of the contract, we were going to be in trouble. But they were like, I mean, the hotel loves us, and that the entire town loves us. We grow the population of Lake Geneva by something like 35% or more every year. So yeah, it was a big transition. And then inside of a week, the entire community came together, and we went from 0 to 100, and we had 600 virtual events, and folks are figuring it out, good or bad. There was a lot of like support. Matt and the Wizards of the Couch folks just stepped up to the plate and helped organize mentors and running the Discord and helping people find solutions.
Yeah, they're on it, those guys. Stephen, you were going to say something?
No, I mean, I've been a guest at 2 Gary Cons. Had a great time both times. It was like a weird pilgrimage, of course, because it's the first time I've ever been to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and spending my teenage years and young adult years, right? Just like that was the mecca for such a long time. It was interesting to kind of see the place where it all started and understand that town a little bit. And GaryCon is such a fun show. There are certainly people who have tried to disparage it for various reasons, but I'm like, you need to go. like everybody's just so positive and so accepting and so nice at that show, and really is just a celebration of this weird hobby that we're all a part of. That for whatever reason, uh, you're saying you don't like the show, you really should go. It's just a lot of fun. Luke and Lloyd and everybody involved with it just does a fantastic job. Um, we had our first Pathfinder Second Edition games that ran at GaryCon, and we raised money for charity through those things. You could buy re-rolls and stuff like that. And at one drunken table with Matt Casey from Wizards of the Couch and Brian Berg and a whole bunch of other people, like I think I raised in one table like close to $1,000.
Oh, okay.
And other people were just putting money trying to get me to kill them all and everything else, um, and and so yeah, every part of that show is just fantastic to me. It is up there with as shows that I really want to go to. It's up there with Enfilade, right?
Well,
Which
shoot, man, that's humbling to put like to even rank them in the same conversation.
No, that is that show is my favorite show. Period. I forget when the first time I went, but it was like an old school miniatures show. Like I went with Chris Pramis and my friend Jefferson Dunlop, who's the pre-press manager at Wizards, because we're all just big miniature game goobs, and I every year we'd look forward to it. We called it our fishing trip, right? Because we'd just go and play games and hang out at the bar and play more games, and then Paizo moved PaizoCon to the same weekend. And so I haven't been able to go for 5 years, other than maybe sneaking down one night just to say hi to people and seeing the table. So I was really looking forward to going to it this year, because it was like a return to that. Because it's again, it's just people just getting together, geeking out about games. Now, I started an organized play at Wizards of the Coast, and so I had to run like the D&D events at Gen Con and Origins and Winter Fantasy and everything else. There, anytime I can miss Gen Con, I'm super happy. Like, and it's not that that's a bad show or anything, but that show is just work to me.
Right.
I like to go to shows where it's not just work.
Well, and that's one thing that I loved about, and still love about Enfilade, because it will continue, of course, is it's a place where the likes of you and Chris Pramis can go, and you're invisible. It's like there's a lot of young people there, old people there. There's a lot of women there.
Yeah.
But they're miniature wargamers. That's all they care
Right.
about. And it's like Chris Pramis just walks to the room like he's no one. Like literally. And I think they like that. Clearly you like that because you can get your game weekend on. No one's asking for autographs or bringing books up to you and stuff. Of course, I'll ruin that for you now next time because I'll make sure everyone knows who you and Chris are. But, I kid. But I think that's an important thing. You need to have a show that you can go to where you can just kick back.
Oh yeah. And Kobold Con is even though I go out there and run games and hobnob and talk to folks, that's got the same feel to me. Partially because it's in Colorado Springs and that's where my mom and my brother live, so I can go to Kobold Con, go do the show, and then spend a better part of a week after the show hanging out with family. That's real nice. But yeah, and GaryCon, even when I go out and I'm pimping my wares, right? I've run Delve at GaryCon, run Pathfinder at GaryCon, and everything else. The whole attitude of it after hours and when you hang your dice bag up and everything else is just so much fun.
Yeah, it's really a special feeling. It's hard to describe. It there's a huge connection. One of my favorite activities at GaryCon isn't even playing games. It's just like waking up whenever I happen to wake up and walking through the convention from one end to the other. like who's hanging out, you know? I mean, that's half of the at least 50% of the con for me, if not more.
I agree. I mean, and I'm not going to name names with the actual conventions, but there's a few conventions that I go to now each year, and there is actually a huge difference between the ones that are laid out in this nice, relaxing format, typically with some kind of bar or something, but the casual, nice, easygoing. North Texas has that. GaryCon has that, where it always feels almost like you're at home. And then there are other conventions, and again, I'm not going to name any of them, where there's no bar, it's very austere, you know, and it's less relaxing. And so it's almost like you can only go out while our game's going on, and it's very more regimented. I way prefer the ones that are kind of just chill, you know?
I'm really glad that you mentioned your two favorite cons, or the two cons that I'm particularly on staff with.
Oh, well, you help North Texas too. Well, of course you do. I'm just gonna throw my shit away at this point.
Right.
It's like,
I'm Satan's little helper at.
oh, of course you are. Yes, of course you are.
But really, I just
I need to go
started
to North
fire
Texas.
this year. Huh?
I need to go to Texas. Skeeter's been telling me that forever.
It's small and it's a wacky amount of fun. It really is.
Yeah.
You know? We cap it at to like 400 or 500 people every year, and it's just what it is. And but there's a remarkable number of special guests per attendee ratio. You know, it's kind of like a really, you can't get through the con without bumping into a dozen guests. And for a couple of years, I shared a room with Jeff Beasley, who was the reason I wanted to be an artist. And I shared a booth and a room with Jeff for one of the first times I went. And then Doug comes along, who runs the convention, and slaps down a whole bunch of art supplies and wants us to do a painting right next to Jeff Beasley. I'm doing a painting, so there's no pressure going on here. You know, and
Right.
Jeff Beasley, you know, I mean, it's Jeff. He sits there, he'll be like 10 minutes with pencils, a few marks, and he'll be like, all right, let's go to lunch. And we'll go to lunch, you know, come back. And then he'll get some burnt sienna, underpainting that's just like, in 15 minutes, my mind is like scrambling, like, I can't do this. You know? And I thought it was done. And he's like, oh no, it's like, it's time to go to dinner. And then, you know, before breakfast is over the next day, he's got this remarkable, like this mind-blowing painting, you know, and I'm trying to scramble to put together something that looks like at least I used crayons. You know? Jeff has been a great support, though. I'm like, how did you figure out, like, how do you do what you do, you know? And he's just like, oh, I got, you know, 30 years to practice. And I'm like, I'm 30 years away from your chair, pal.
I mean, the funny thing is, when I was a kid, right, and mostly growing up, probably one was it Derek Riggs who used to do, or Derek Rigg who used to do all the illustrations for Iron Maiden covers, and then all of those guys that, you know, that second wave of artists that worked at TSR. Like, I couldn't get enough of those guys, and the first time I encountered Timothy Truman's artwork, I was like, that drawing's weird. But I probably, you know, made replicas of half of his artwork in D&D and other places just because I couldn't get enough of Timothy Truman. And Keith Parkinson and Larry. Oh, Larry's the most interesting man in gaming. There is nothing funner than spending time at a bar with Larry. With Larry Elmore. He is very good storyteller.
Well, and you heard the Twitch stream that Cave Geek did with Larry Elmore, right, about 2-3 weeks ago.
No.
Yeah, so like they're friends. They live reasonably close to each other apparently, and Cave decided that he would go over there and do a Twitch stream from Larry's house, and that Larry would start telling his stories. Well, apparently they rolled out of there like 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And I kid you not. Cave in chat is saying 7 hours. 7 hours of Twitch streaming and drinking. How? Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to check that out because I've spent, I think, 2 or 3 evenings in the bar with Larry, and it was just a riot the entire time. Just him telling his stories. And then he and I would go out for smoke breaks, and there were just more stories, and he just had me in stitches the entire time. I think we were at a convention in Texas uh, when that happened, and every time I see Larry, I think, and it was really funny because I met Larry at a Colorado convention a few years ago where it was the first time he had Jello shots. He's like, "What am I supposed to do with this?" Right,
Yeah.
and and I saw Larry at the bar in this con in Texas, and I saddle up next to him. I'm like, Larry, you probably don't remember me. He goes, Oh no, I remember you. And I'm like, that's very sweet of you to say that, but I know you don't. And then reminded him, he's like, Oh yeah, I remember some of that night. Um, but yeah, one of the greatest joys that I get working in the industry is actually meeting the people that I really admired as a kid and then finding out that they're fantastic folks. Um, uh, Kim Mohan, I feel the same way about, like, when I first started reading Dragon Magazine, Kim was the editor in chief. Uh, uh, and I've spent many a night intoxicated with Kim, just listening to him tell old stories and explain his love of baseball to me and everything else. And it's just, yeah, and one of the things I really love about GaryCon is the fact that we celebrate these folks who were there at the beginning, um, and we get to learn from them, hear their stories and everything else. I keep on telling Kim he needs to write a book just
My
about.
first GaryCon, I had Tom Wham in front of me telling me like railroad stuff for like I don't know, like a half an hour, and I had no idea who Tom Wham was. What?
Right.
What does this matter? Like should I couldn't figure it out. Like later I was like, oh, Tom. Oh, I now I know. Took a minute, but it's really nice. You're right. It's the half of the magic is hanging out with people who created these things that literally changed the world and changed a lot of lives. And I know Luke gets a lot of stories of how his dad saved lives, even just through his writing.
Yeah. And even when I first started working at Wizards and went to my first Gen Con, I got a chance to meet Gary. I was out smoking a cigarette. Don't pick up the habit, kids. It's terrible and dangerous. And he was out there smoking a cigarette. I just went up to him and I'm like, Mr. Gygax. He's like, Oh, Gary, call me Gary, and everything else. And we had a good 15-minute chat. He gave me some really good advice because I told him I just got a job with Wizards of the Coast and everything else. And he's like, and he was really supportive and really, really fantastic.
It's a great thing about like guys like Larry. Larry's like is not secretive about his art technique or anything. He'll tell you what he does from top to bottom. If
Oh
you
yeah.
care to hang out and ask him and listen. He gave my daughter his secret technique for mixing terps and linseed or so and stuff. Um, and things like Alyssa is doing this map. I mean,
Hmm.
it's out there. It's right there. These people are just like showing everybody what they do. There's room for all of us.
Yeah. I mean, I picked up a tablet because I like doing cartography and want to get better at it. And so I'll come in and watch Alyssa sit here and draw, and I'm like, oh, I could be doing that. Well, the,
I'm
that
getting
makes it a
something
lot
in there.
easier. Okay, and so um,
Thank
which
you.
is I'm very grateful for. I mean, I think it was AetherCon that we did a panel, and and you were talking about your method and everything else, and gave me some good advice on on a tablet that you would have picked up because it was a lot cheaper than the one that you did. It was a pretty good price, and I was able to get that tablet at a good price, and
Cheers, Tyson.
I love working with it. Yeah.
And that's the thing, I've actually never spoken to Larry. Yeah, I've been around Larry, never spoken to him. I'm actually
Hmm.
really terrible at small talk. If I get introduced to someone, I can kind of like talk with them, but I'm horrible at walking up to someone brand new. So I never do it. I just never do it. Um, so I've been around him, but I've heard that he's
Yeah.
an awesome human being. But
Oh yeah.
like Larry, I mean, I think it's wonderful that there are people like Larry that are just good human beings in the hobby, without a doubt. And while know nothing about him, I there's a lot about that I aspire to be, and yeah, I mean, there's room for all of us. I mean, I'm not gonna hide any of my techniques. I mean, I will zoom in and show you exactly how I do something. This is how I do it. If it helps you at all, run with it. And yeah, the little thing about the whole not Wacom, it's like I've got this £80 of hardware right here. By the way, there are cheaper and half price versions that will do exactly the same, and I wish I had one. Go,
Huians are like taking over now, and they're like a quarter of the price.
Oh yeah. That's what I got was a UN.
I forget what my Raven has one, a 15-inch version, and it cost her, I think, $300.
Yeah, the Wacoms are like 2-3 grand. Like, there's a 32-inch, 34-inch Wacom tablet. I'm not even sure it fit on my desk. I mean, the thing's got to be this freaking big and more than £80 at this point.
Well, mine is a 22, and it's right there. And Zach bought me that one.
Well, that was awfully generous of Zach. I need to talk to Zach about this.
It was when we did the Frog God, not Frog God, lesser known Kickstarter. He said, would things go faster if I got you a Cintiq? And I was like, I don't know if they would, but I will go faster if you get me a Cintiq.
Well, Zach Glazar, things would go faster for me too if I had 2 Cintiqs. Just saying. Just putting that out there. If you don't like it, that's fine. Just push it back. But if I had 2, right? Double the maps.
Look at this. Here's my biggest complaint about these is that the tape, in the Intuos 4 had a little LED display that they would put next to your buttons, and the Cintiq doesn't do it, and I really don't like the control on this. That's a side note. I'm sorry. That's off topic.
No. This is Random Chat Hour with Lloyd and Steven.
Let's get to moan about my first world problem.
I will be honest, I've got like something like 4 inches of space that side and 4 inches of space that side full of buttons, and I never use any of them. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I got one of these things, so now I've got to just program them and everything else. So you can, you got it in the other hand. You're like rotate, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, and the Intuos 4 used to have that little donut where you could just slide your thumb and rotate stuff, and they did away with it in their like battleship product. I don't understand it.
Well, this is an X-Pen, and it works with just about anything. So.
Oh, there's my lesson for the day. Can you? Was it an X-Pad?
Yeah, it's called X-Pen. I'll send you the specs.
Oh my god! The new world.
Yeah, I actually just for seminars I got a little Microsoft Surface Pro, and that's
I love my Surface.
It works out nice because actually I started doing electronic sort of projections instead of like on a whiteboard. It works out pretty good. For what it's trying to do, it works out pretty good.
I have a Surface Pro 3, and the thing I like about it is that it's a Microsoft product and you can plug stuff into it. And I also have an iPad Pro that I use when I travel with a pencil. And the thing I hate about it is you can't just plug crap into it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a love-hate relationship. I mean, but Apple really got the use of the pencil down. I mean, it feels right. And Procreate is magical software. Once I put the paper-like screen protector on there, like, forget it.
I would have ended up with one of those. So when I actually bought my Surface Pro, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, I actually went to, and I'm not an Apple person, like, at all. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So I went into this Apple store, and I thought I'd walked into a cult. It had such a weird vibe to it. Like, there was, like, all of the shelves with the product on them, and there was no prices or specs or even names. And, like, there was just these rows of gear that people were using. And I swear, like, most of them were just there because they just wanted to, like, play with Apple product. And I don't know who was working there, who wasn't. And I picked up one of those pads, and I opened up Procreate, and I started drawing. I was like, this is nice. I actually like this. But I don't know what I had in my hand. I don't know what the price was. I don't know what the tech specs were. And no one was there to help me. So I was like...
Well, there's an altar in the back where they sacrifice, like, flip phones and everything. no, but that's true. But the thing that's missing, what is it? Um, Sketchbook Pro has ruler overlays and French curve overlays, and they've gotten a lot of things right that I really wish Apple and Adobe would pay attention to.
That was
My
loud.
representatives and stuff, and so I also write Adobe like, hey, this is the thing that you really need to be paying attention to, and I use it more outside of your product, and I wish it was inside of your product, so I didn't have to leave it.
Oh yeah, you're a letter writer, huh, Lloyd?
I pop emails off
Dear
to
Apple,
people
you
who
stupid
represent me,
censorship.
to my government, and people who represent my career to
Right,
like
right.
make my software, you know.
Do people still write letters nowadays? Is that a thing?
Lloyd
I
does.
write emails. But you know what? If you send a handwritten letter to somebody, it makes an impact.
Oh, no, that's
In my day, your sons are bigger.
We had to lick stamps. That's not happening.
Right? Holy crap! I can't even imagine licking a stamp right now.
Oh, please, right? Yeah, we have got to the point, not to sort of bring the conversation down or anything, but in a way, even to keep it light, we have got to the point where we're even taking mail out the box, like with gloves on or sanitized wipes and stuff. We've got a little bit crazy over here. But I think the more insular we get, the more locked down we get, the more the rest of the world we want to keep it out. So anything that comes into our abode now, we're like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast. Like, even when he says stuff that I find cringeworthy, I like a lot of the guests he brings on. I like the fact that Joe Rogan seems to be a dumb guy who's trying to get it most of the time. But he's been talking a lot about, like, what is the world going to look like once, we can all go back to shows and do things again. And I personally think everybody's going to be so appreciative that they can, that the lockdown is over and everything else. We're going to have a good time.
Do you think we're going to go nuts?
I don't know. I don't know about going nuts. If anything, I hope what we're going through now teaches us some valuable lessons. Just like to prattle on a little bit as an old guy. I'm gonna be all like that. The world outside of us is actually really uncaring and kind of dangerous at times. But the world that we make, that the friendships that we create, the people that we know and love and appreciate, and everything else, like those are really, really important. And and their the lack of just even physical, the fact that if I were to see one of my best friends, I couldn't go over and give him a hug right now. That sucks. It's just really terrible. And I for one am so looking forward to the world going back to whatever the new normal is. I kind of appreciate that a lot of, there was a point in time I told Paizo, I'm like, why don't you just let me move to the Oregon Shore? I can have Skype open all day. I can still be there doing what you want to do, but I can just be in a setting where I would find it, more beneficial to me as a human being. They were like, Steven, you can't do that. And I'm like, no, we can. We live in the future. We can absolutely fucking do it. And I think just us waking up to the fact that, we can actually do that. We can, collaborate and make sure that the product gets done and it's really good, while being on all sorts of, points on the planet, pursuing whatever our own personal desires for happiness are. I hope that lesson's learned as well.
Wise words from Steven. I am curious. I'm curious what the future holds. I think that I think that we're going to see some changes, and even if it's just in this virtual sense, I think for at least my part, I think
Hmm.
I'm going to be way more inclined to play virtually. It's going to change in that respect. I didn't
Oh yeah.
even really consider it beforehand. I'm going to play virtually. I'm going to GM virtually. That's going to connect me with friends that I only really know on a Facebook sort of level. I'm actually going to get to game with them a lot more. I feel. Um, I think it's gonna. It's teaching me to appreciate my friends a lot more. Like I'd meet my friends maybe
Mhm.
once every 2 weeks. That's enough. Go space your visits. And now we just have an open Discord every single night, and they could just join it. And no matter what you're doing, let's just do it together. Let's
Right.
just hang out. And we've
Yep.
all started to value that, and I think it's causing us to value each other more.
No, I think that's good.
What about you, Lloyd?
What about me? Well, my friends go out and do a club night once a week or so on the average. Like there's two different clubs that my regular group of friends go to, and I'm a hugger when we go, and I'm a dancer. Uh, I might not be good at it, but I don't care. I really enjoy that, and I do miss that. However, I've been practicing for this introvert life my entire life. I mean, I, I really don't want to see you SOBs unless I have to. No, that's a lie. No, listen, I really love Gary Con. I really love all this stuff that I do. It's social, but I'm prepared for it when I'm social. Even at Gary Con, I need to unplug and be in my room by myself for a little while to regenerate. So when I'm social, I'm really wacky social, and I really like to hug my friends, and I really like to be in proximity. So it's difficult. But when I'm not, when I'm here by myself, I'm I'm happy. I'll go play with the dog and let the chickens out, and you know, Cluckingham Palace is my like second home.
Lloyd, tell us the name of your chickens and your rooster or hen.
Oh
Again, just
well,
live on chat for everyone because they're beautiful names.
the rooster that I thought was I cannot figure out. I have six chickens. They get five eggs a day. This one chicken has the pronounced comb and the hackles, and I think it should be a rooster, but it doesn't crow. It just makes a lot of noise, and I call him Jeremy Cluxon. That's his name. And he lives in Cluckingham Palace. I'm gonna fix up Cluckingham Palace. I'm gonna rebuild Cluckingham Palace. We're gonna make
Oh
it
well.
better this year. But they have like there's like an old painting I did of a puffin that's out there in the hen house, and they have like a little window so they can watch the outside world go by, and a fence.
That's so sweet. That is so sweet.
A faux rooster, yeah, he's a faux rooster. I can't decide if he's a rooster or not. I honestly I don't know. And I've never been in that situation in my life. I grew up around chickens. I can't decide if I got a friggin' rooster or not. But they're cool though. I mean, they've really made a difference outside of just laying eggs. So we always have eggs, but they I let them out. They eat a lot of. We have a lot of wood ticks here, and they really nosh that problem down to almost zero. And we used to get ants every season, and
Ah.
we have no ant problem at all
So
anymore.
you've got your own like little pesticide going right there. Nature's little pesticide.
Yeah, and there's no chemicals involved. It's just
Right.
chicken.
That's kind of cool.
You just have crazy little dinosaurs.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So.
Like those poor ants and wood ticks probably see it much differently. It's like, what the hell is that? They think it's Jurassic Park.
They do, but I have a little fire pit out on the side of the house, and you go, before if you went out there and hung out, you'd be covered in wood ticks. And the chickens, I mean, just six chickens, and they're very little effort.
Yeah, I love eggs. I have eggs nearly every morning for breakfast, which has and so there's a part of me I'm like I could just get chickens, um, but
I do
you know
two or
I
three a day, and I tell you the eggs from the hens that have access to the outside and run around are completely
Uh-huh.
different than the watery eggs at the grocery store. There's a,
Oh, interesting.
there's a gigantic difference, and uh, mineral vitamins and minerals are the eggs from uh, yarded birds are much better than even free range birds. And the
Oh,
fact that a thing that I didn't know until like just a couple of years ago, that uh, free range just means that they have access to at least 12 inches of floor space. You
right.
know, it doesn't mean they go outdoors and do cool chicken stuff. It means they can
Yeah.
get that to a floor.
Mm.
Yarded chickens means they have access to the outdoors, but it doesn't mean they're running around.
So, my lady Beth in the chat just asked, where are we going to put the chickens? I'm like, oh, they can just hang around, right? Right? You can just have them. The cats will adapt.
If, I don't think you could litter train a chicken. But
Well, no, you've actually inspired me now, Lloyd. I think we're going to add Clockingham Palace to the map.
oh my God, Alyssa, I love
Buckingham
you.
Palace.
I'm in the process of writing an adventure a- around a chicken-based adventure, and if you
Yes,
put
Tom.
you put Clockingham Palace on this map, I'm gonna lose it.
We're going to do
Set
it.
the
I'm panning around a little bit right now just so people can see the map if they've not seen it before. We've got Noble
That's
Dwarf in the
gorgeous.
chat with us. This map is actually for nobledwarf.com. He wasn't
Oh,
in the
nice.
last couple of chats, so he hasn't seen this. Noble, we finished the east side over here. Heavy industrial, obviously. Got a few farms coming in over here. So we finished all of this. And now I've started to actually work on the west side, starting in the southwest corner, and we're going to do these clusters of buildings following the roads spilling out. And we're going to do that on
Oh,
all of the
nice.
major roads, and we're just going to sweep all the way around. And I think we're going to add Cluckingham Palace in here somewhere.
I see Beth is asking where to keep the chickens.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the answer is just don't worry about it. Just get the chickens first.
um,
Yeah,
You
that's.
get them and they're little chicks, and they're like so cute.
She's already like inside. Hell no.
I don't think there's a lot of partners right now going, oh, hell no, you're not.
What?
It's, Lloyd said, I just get them and then we'll worry about it. Quack, 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 quack.
Yeah, whatever.
So listen, I have a question
I
for
spent
you.
a solid 3 days converting this like busted down woodshed out back that my granddad had here into Cluckingham Palace.
Yeah, unfortunately, we got I live in Redmond, which uh, in next to a forest, right? So our backyard is all forested, but we've actually got a lot of predatory animals about. So I don't think we could set up that stuff outside.
We had a few here, but we got a rescue dog, Tuca, and he kind of keeps things at bay.
Oh, there you go.
It helps.
So I know, Stephen, you've got a question, but I also want to point out for you,
Yeah.
Lloyd,
Yes.
so just so everyone knows, one of the reasons why I'm starting in the southwest corner here is the northwest area is actually going to have a racetrack on it, and I haven't figured out where that's going to be yet. But Noble Dwarf has asked for Clockingham Palace to be near the racetrack, so they can have chicken races. So I am going to put it. I think we're going to do it up on the hill here. We're going to put the Lloyd residence right up here. We're going to do a couple of what do you Clockingham Palace itself?
I think Buckingham Palace, but there should be a Poltradome, where you race like 4 chickens attached to a chariot.
Oh, come on. Stephen, what was your question?
Well, based on what you're doing, you might be able to answer my question. Is because I always seem to miss this. I always seem to hit your stream when you're putting on colors. Like, do you freehand the buildings?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, all of these are free-handed. Just like we've been doing tonight down here, yeah.
I try to do them with like the shift key so I can get straight edges and then.
I will do that if I need a straight edge, like the here, because I wanted this to feel man-made, engineered, and industrial. But in the areas like around here, I just freehand the whole thing.
Oh wow, you've got a Chris Perkins thing going on. So
Yeah.
we yeah. So we used to call Perkins the robot or the android, and it's because you'd walk into an office and he would freehand on whiteboards these dungeon maps that were flawless. You're just like, how the hell did he do that? Um, and yeah, it's just and and then there was downstairs in the same building of Wizards of the Coast for a little while. There was like a thing called artificial intelligence something or other, and we're like, that's where Chris goes and plugs in at night. He doesn't actually have a home. That's they just plug him into there,
It's like the Borg.
right? Like the Borg, which is odd because Chris is actually a very sweet, nice guy. Um, Although he did ask me if I wanted to fight him in the mana pool once.
What?
Yeah, we were having a very friendly argument. He goes, "Well, we can go duke this out in the mana pool," and everybody we worked with knew that Chris practices mixed martial arts, and I was like, "Okay, Chris, let's go do that." I'm like, "Steven, he might kick your ass," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it'll be a lot of fun."
Sometimes an ass kicking is worthwhile.
Oh yeah,
So I used to be a pretty mouthy person at school. I was the geek. I was the geek. I was the nerd. I was not popular. I was bullied, but I was mouthy. Yeah, I'm a wallflower, Lloyd. I'm a wallflower. I'll have you know, sir. Um, but the thing with me is, yeah, I would pick these fights with with girls that just knew a whole lot more about fighting than I did. Mixed martial arts. I picked a fight with a girl once that knew boxing. Boy, did I find that out real fast. Yeah. Because I talk the talk, but I can't fight. I can't. Don't tell anyone that.
You're loving out of fire.
there you go.
I don't know what a chicken coop looks like. I do not know what a chicken coop looks like from above. I've got to Google this.
It's a small little building where they can shelter from the weather. But I imagine that if there's giant chicken races, there'd be like axe beak races, you know. So maybe it'd be more like a stables or something.
Look, have you seen these?
Axe beaks. Or would it be like ostrich-sized chickens?
Oh whoa!
I'm going to draw one of these.
There you go.
I mean, look at this thing right here. All right.
That's some swanky living for some chickens.
Mine is a woodshed with a chain link fence on all like sides, bottom, top, left, right, end. But this year, like I said, this year they're getting an upgrade. Post-pandemic, when I can go just browse for materials.
Right? You're gonna make a chicken McMansion, like
A chicken McMansion, yeah. Well, you know, the old shed really is. It's like.
No, I can see all of the chickens now going, I
am going to keep the art gallery intact in Cluckingham Palace, so that's.
There's an art gallery in there?
Yeah, I have a painting of a puffin and something else that I did for my mom that just sort of fell by the wayside. And so they look at it as inspiration. They dream about the seaside while they're laying their eggs. We have puffins in Maine.
right. You know, we don't consider the rich interior life of a chicken's mind.
That's right.
Up until this stream, I'd given it no thought.
They really are remarkable, though. They're really nice. These ones are a little more flighty than the red rockets that I had. They come when you call them. Like you can go. They'll come gather around, and they'll come find you. They know you're out there and follow you around and do whatever you know.
You know, I've actually seen a video of that. I've seen a girl get off a school bus and like sort of just do this, and this, I guess it might be a rooster or a hen or something, just comes bucking it down the path towards her, just happy as Larry that she was home. And I was like, that is just adorbs.
And really, it's really a shame that we forget that animals can do that sort of thing, and we just keep them in these giant mechanized production facilities, and I'm really like a proponent of happy food makes a happy life. Maybe I'm a goddamn hippie. I don't know.
Well, we
You
love
are
you
a
for
goddamn
it.
hippie,
I
Lloyd.
might be.
And,
I might
and
be. People,
Satan
there's a
bless
group
you.
on Facebook who's really like after me now. It's all like talking about how much of a goddamn hippie I am. So I'm okay with that. Yeah, whatever, guys.
So, speaking of hippies, back when I was working at the RPGA, David Christ, who runs Winter Fantasy, and which a long time ago I hired him to run that show because he runs great shows. And he's got this daughter, and when she was very small, maybe like 3 or 4, she would come with him to shows, and she would just gawk up at me, and I'd say, "Hi, how are you doing?" And she's just like, and then I would leave, and she'd ask her dad. She goes, "Why does that man have long hair?" And David looked down at her and said, "Because he's a hippie." She goes, "Oh," and so she would never talk to me. But as soon as I left, she'd look at her dad and go, "Where did hippie go? Where did hippie go?" So for years, I was hippie to her. She's about to graduate high school now, so. But yeah, that was very funny. Where did hippie go?
My chickens live a good life.
That's good.
HM at the swims. Or no, I'm not sure. HMA at the swims. That's what I'm going with. Will there be a Scully Besterium for the gladiator chickens? Well, now we're going to do a little one right now, down the road a little bit. So there could be a little bit of a parade coming down the road here.
Right.
Yes, that's the upgrade. That's the Arakara sort of,
Herman
Herman Matthew Sims. All right. Welcome, Herman. So, Lloyd, you're on the map, my friend. You're on the map. I should say the chickens are on the map. You've also got a shed. I figured you probably got a shed.
There's also a Metcalf Alley in the Frog God Games map as well.
Oh, wow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I feel like I don't even know how to feel about all of them.
So, Stephen, what am I going to add for you? Let's do a signature for each guest on this map. What is it going to be for you, my friend? And don't say I want a palace, a fortress. It'll be a little fortress.
So I am a big fan of philosophy. So any sort of philosophical school in there would be fantastic.
Philosophical school. I like that. Do you have a picture of a particular building or school or campus that you like?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Stoics, so anything with a porch is fine. Basically they were named after was it the Stoicia, which was basically this porch structure that they would just go and hang out. They were basically just we're going to hang out on the porch and think and talk about life. Somebody's got a cute dog.
Yeah, it's Tuca.
Hey, Tuca.
All right, so let's add that. Favorite type of terrain: hills, forestry, near the coast, river. What do you like? Well, you mentioned the coast before. Coast, yeah.
Love the coast.
All right. Then let's do it. Let's give you a little secluded spot away from Paizo, where you're remoting in and doing a little bit of philosophy with a view over the water.
I've got my crystal ball. I talk to other people.
I can see you. I can see you with the ball. You don't need to come visit. I can see it from here. I don't need to be in the office.
You're right there. And no meetings. No meetings.
Well, that's the meme, isn't it? It's like this thing proves that this didn't need to be a meeting all along.
Oh yeah. like there is nothing better than a really good meeting where you've got a goal, you put your heads together, you get it done. But like anytime I went to a meeting where it's like, it seems like you're just telling us what to do. You could just send an email to tell us what to do. Just say do that, and it's like, okay. The worst thing I hated, and it happened both. It happens everywhere, but it happened both at Paizo and Wizards. Is basically the meeting that somebody already has something in mind that they want you to do, but they're trying to get you to say it. Like they're trying to draw it out of you. It's all like, and then we do what? And I'm like, write the fucking thing.
And we finish each other's
sentences. Yeah, it's all like, I'm a little well known of just getting up and leaving meetings like that.
Really? Oh, I like your style.
I don't want to be in that fucking meeting. Just don't want to do it. It's like
I like your style. I like the meetings by hate, where you get to the point very, very quickly, but then the same person will now reiterate it for 15 minutes, just using different words, and it's like, yeah, I got it. And then proceed to reiterate it again. It's like you're listening to a stock record or something, and it's like, dude.
Well, because the meeting's supposed to be half an hour. We can't cut a meeting short because fucking people. I don't know.
All right,
but
you're getting a fire pit too, by the way.
Now I have my beat. Oh, sweet! I love a fire pit. Yeah. Now, whenever I have a meeting, it's usually at a bar. So that's a much better meeting. I'm fine with that.
That's my type of meeting. I can dig that.
In fact, sometimes I've had just what I thought was a get together, and by the end of it, it's all like, they'll be asking me questions about like, well, how do you do this? And I'm just telling them, and they're like, okay, so we're going to give you some money, and you're going to do that for us. And I'm like, oh, I thought you were just picking my brain. Okay, all right, sure, yeah, we can do that.
I've actually had similar to that too. I've had people contact me, about maps, and I'll talk maps with anyone. By the way, I'm not going to charge anyone just to talk maps. So you contact me, you're like, so how would you go about drawing XYZ? And it would be something like an underground drow area, like something really complex, all in 3D and shit. And I'll formulate this response, and I'll be, oh, all right, that's cool. So you want to do it? And I'm like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no, I didn't know that's what we were doing. No, this is someone else's problem now.
It's so funny you should mention that. I just did an underground draw map, and I wish I had your pen while I was doing it.
Is that something you could show? Is it digital? Can we show it off on the screen?
Yeah, I can totally share my screen. Let me pull it up in Photoshop.
Well, it'll be too small. Send it to me. I'll bring it up on my big screen here so everyone can see it.
Oh, okay. No. Oh, where? How do I send it to you?
You can do Messenger or anything. I can grab it.
Oh, okay. Let's see if I can open it.
This is a channel where I actually love to show off other people's work.
Oh, yeah, because there was a stretch goal in the previous Kickstarter for extra maps, and I was trying to, I don't know, do my best to come up with something.
I'm actually going to fence off your area, Stephen.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. You don't want me getting out.
No, not fence in. Not fence in, sir. No, we're keeping the bally tapes out. No casual visitors welcome. And just so everyone knows, as a time check, we'll probably go for about another 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so. If you've got any questions, by the way, for Stephen or Lloyd, just feel free to ask them in the chat. That is what they are here for. The more you ask them questions, the less they can heckle me. That's the way this works.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and send you. So when I started fooling around with my my tablet, I was working on an adventure for Rob Schwalb's Punk Apocalyptic, and I'll typically send him a sketch of a map, but I got a little carried away, and because I was just having so much fun trying to figure out the tablet, and so I said I got carried away with the map, but here's the map, and he was just like, I'm just going to pay you for the map.
Oh, that's so cool. Send that to me as well.
Yeah, I will.
Brian, we're here for a few minutes yet, my friend. You know who these gentlemen are. I know you do. So I'm not going to entertain you with a response. I'm drawing. We've got guesses. We're mixing up the format a little bit here, Brian. I don't know if we're going to do it every night. I'm definitely going to be doing it a lot more regularly. Alright. Okay, so this one is from Steven. I'm going to open this sucker up. So, this is Steven's work right here. Oh, nowhere. I love this. I love the colors.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of color.
That's cool.
Well, the interior of my zine is black and white, so there's only so much to be done. It's on its way in the same message.
Great. I look forward to seeing that. Right on, man. This is great. I love it.
Yeah.
It's bold. The colors are really nice and bold. And that's your sketch, huh? That's your sketch.
Yeah, that was my sketch. That's what I said. I got way too carried away. I was just having a fun time sitting there drawing and putting in crazy colors and whatnot. I was just like, I don't know if this is kind of the art style he's looking for with this, but I'm just going to send it to him. And he's just like, yep, we're using it.
So have you ever got
me, one of the Shadow of the Demon Lord things?
Have you ever got carried away with a map like that and they haven't liked it? Like where maybe you've had to start again or something?
Not really. Usually things are fun. Like so an interesting story is I wrote the section in the P2 Game Mastery Guide about mapping. Right, it's just like this is how you map, and part of that was a sample map, and so I sketched a black and white map with all the various symbols you might use and a key with the symbols and everything else, and figured it was going to go and they were going to get somebody to make a better version of it. So when I got the P2 Game Mastery Guide, I opened it up and I'm like, they just used the map I drew. Like they just scanned it in and used it. And I was like, well, if I would have known that, I would have cleaned it up a little bit. Jeez. Right. I mean, you can, and it was totally freehand, right? It was just on a piece of graph paper. So you can see basically, where I filled in the black areas with Sharpie. You can see the Sharpie strokes and everything else. And I'm like, I would have at least cleaned up that. Jeez.
I love that stuff. I love this.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so like I've got a whole pile here of, these are basically all of my sketches of various map products that have become flip mats that I worked on. And so I've got, basically it just starts out like this, and then we send it to Jason Engel, and he makes it look really gorgeous. But now that I've gotten the tablet, I've even done all of these on the tablet, and it saves us one. My office doesn't smell like Sharpie by the time I'm done, and
that is unfortunate.
Yeah. So like, Steven's acting kind of twitchy today. Why Sharpie? And then I don't have to scan it in. So,
Lloyd, did you send that map across? Because I don't see it in the chat.
I did. Is it not there yet?
No, you didn't put it in the
Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, I don't see it. I do not see it there.
Oh, it may be the fault of my internet connection. Hang on. Oh yeah, I need to try again. I must have closed the window before it's sent.
I would love everyone to see what you did.
Well, I'm in the middle of the road with it, I'm happy enough with it. I'm ready to run an adventure from it, you know. So it's incoming. It's a little big, um,
82
and I'm operating
gigabytes.
on DSL. So
So are you pretty remote, Lloyd? Or are you kind of like out in the country a little bit?
we are in Western Maine. I'm probably an hour from the ocean though. So
Ah,
lobster is
nice.
cheaper than steak here. Literally. Oh, Miss J Maps is here, by the way, and I really enjoy her maps too.
Yeah, Miss J is incredibly gifted. I love Miss J maps, and she has an excellent grasp for color too. Her maps are pure art. Yeah, she and I have hung out a lot, and I've seen a lot of her work. I really, really, really dig it. But she knows that.
Oh yeah, I like that, Lloyd. That's good. It's
Thanks.
fantastic.
All right, so this is Lloyd's work. So,
It's in the zine for the
Everdark
gift card that
City.
I'm delivering right now.
Oh, cool.
That's a good way of doing it, man. That's a good way of doing it. Yeah,
It's
that's definitely far enough along to play from. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
so it's a drow. It's like a drow settlement, and with like the number one house at the top, and the other houses around the pillars and whatnot. So I thought they should be
Hey, Yellow
unusual
Bridge.
in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Right on, man. That's great. I see some walls here, very familiar style. Man, that's eyebrow. Gosh. Very nice. Very nice. Alright, let's see if we can finish this little hole here. I think what I'm gonna do is we're gonna complete this little area here, and then tomorrow we're gonna spill out. We're gonna bring these buildings around the bottom of this hill, and we're just gonna start kind of just sweeping them out all the way around, all the way around. So let's just see if we can get this little area here done. And we've got Clockingham Palace on the map, and we've got Stephen's Retreats, Scholarly Retreats.
When I
Scholarly
went to
retreat.
when I went to TotalCon, Angelia actually gave me a hat in my swag bag pack that says Flock Boss on it.
Nice.
Nice.
I looked at it and I just said it as I thought it was like a game thing or something. I didn't even realize that she had actually like specially chosen that gift just for me at TotalCon.
They're good with the gifts. There, I'll give them that. I've got a little mat here that says, "Do mimosas count as a juice cleanse?" from Total Calm, because I was talking about mimosas so much, and the answer is yes. Yes, they do.
That was like my favorite part of going to the Peter Adkison party at GaryCon was they just serve mimosas like hand over fist.
What?
I'm like, there's
Really?
always time for mimosa. Yeah.
I keep dropping hints when I'm a guest somewhere. They'll say, "Do you need anything special?" And typically the answer is not really, but if you can give me a mimosa, that would be great. No one has done it yet. And I'm like, no, I'm really
well.
serious, guys.
There's never a downtime. There's never a bad time for mimosa. I brought mimosas to like evening cocktail parties because I'm like, it's brunch.
Right, it's orange juice, right? So it's actually healthy for you.
Right?
Well,
Yeah.
I threaten.
I feel the same way
threaten
about
it with
Bloody
orange
Marys.
juice.
Bloody Marys count. There is
Yeah.
a very good dietary supplement right there.
My wife really got me turned on to mimosas though. But then once you start, it's all just downhill.
That is true.
Alright, let's add a couple of little trees here, gents. Alright, I wanna thank both of you for joining me tonight. I really do mean that. You gave like a good chunk of your time, and time's extremely valuable, just to hang out with me while I draw squiggly lines, and I am very appreciative to that. I
It's
want the
my
audience.
pleasure to hang out with rock stars of gaming.
Stephen, he's talking about you. I want the audience to thank our two special guests tonight. Please, if you could, because they are absolutely wonderful human beings. We were talking earlier about like the scholars and the gentlemen of the role-playing industry, and we've got two of them in the chat with us tonight. You know, they're good human beings, and they were kind enough to join us. And thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Stephen. I really, really, really am appreciative.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Jack has a question that I would like to answer.
Yes,
The
please.
question for the panel is, if there's an
okay.
IP you'd like to map, write, or do art for, that you haven't had the opportunity to do yet,
Ooh.
and I would really like to get my mitts on illithids, the displacer beasts, and beholders, and and of course Bargle, because I launched a Kickstarter that Wizards of the Coast knocked out.
All right, Stephen, you've been all over, my friend. So which IP do you want to put your mitts into?
I think there is two of them that I would love to, especially write for or create a game system for. And the first has to be Joe Abercrombie's books. Like, he's probably my favorite modern fantasy writer right now, and his First Law trilogy and the other books are just fantastic. And secondly would probably be the Vlad Taltosh series by Stephen Bruce. I came late to the game with those. I've been making my way through them, and they are just brilliant. They're just fantastic. And I had friends for years that said you should read these, and I was like, I'm reading something else. And I'm really happy I finally took the time to read those.
That's fantastic. And if I'm going to answer this question too, am I a panelist?
Yep.
Am I a panelist?
Yeah.
I would actually love to draw Mega City 1 from 2000 AD. That's what I would love to do. Because the entire eastern seaboard of the United States of America in kind of pseudo-futuristic. But I'm talking about from the 2000 AD comic where it was all 3D and you've got these elevated bridges and roadways going underneath each other and big, huge megaplexes. I would love to draw that. Okay, and I think it's hundreds of miles in length.
To have you as a guest at AppleCon. If you came to AppleCon, you could be a guest and you could visit the Eastern Seaboard.
You need to have me as a guest on AppleCon. Yes, you do, my friend. No, I'd love to attend. I wouldn't even need to be a guest. I would love to just be there. It just looks so much fun.
Well, luckily I was going to ask. I had asked Jeff Easley, and I was going to ask Larry, but the pandemic situation has me. We're not happening until the first weekend in October, so we're in a holding pattern right now.
I can imagine, my friend.
But I do have an open seat for a guest, and I would love to have you, Alyssa, to come to the East Coast and eat lobster with us and see the Eastern Seaboard.
I would very much like that. We will have to talk about that.
Beth is going to be jealous. She's all like, yes, AppleCon!
Beth is already on board. So when we were at CobaltCon, I wasn't even talking to you, Stephen, about coming. I was talking to Beth about having you come out.
Well, I mean, Beth is a great guest. So I just come along, to be arm candy. Really.
Arm candy. I like that. I like that phrase.
I mean, yeah.
All right then, guys. Audience, everyone, Lloyd, Stephen, thank you. It's actually been a really fun night. I really appreciate you hanging out with me while I drew some boxes on white paper.
I had a great time.
And I'm going to end the stream here. Everyone, I'm back tomorrow. We're streaming again. We're going to continue the process here. I'm thinking that we've probably got another maybe 4 or 5 streams in the black and white, and then we're going to start colouring this bad boy. So until then, same time tomorrow. Again, to our special guests, Lloyd, Stephen, thank you very much, and good night.
No, Alyssa, thank you.
Thank you. Night, everyone.
As Todd Anderson saying good night. Good night.